company in your YC batch. My name is Alex.
I'm Kunaal.
Show of hands, who over here works a corporate job? A good number. And then keep your, who has here dreamed of starting your own company? Perfect, perfect. Well, you're in the right place. This one's a little niche. Who has started a semi-successful open source project? Well, maybe not yet. Non-zero. That was us. So our background, we're the two of us. We are both former staff engineers at Lyft's security team. We built a tool called Cartography back in 2019, if you've heard of that. Basically, we take infrastructure assets, map it out, show your attack paths.
Who here has heard of cartography?
Oh, that's so awesome. All right. And yeah, so now we're making a commercial version of it. We had talked about this for years, and that was getting into it. So our two-sentence summary. Our company's name is Subimage, and we... Good morning, everybody. It is West Coast time. I'm exhausted. So we build security software that maps your infrastructure, and our open source library is in use by over 70 companies. And you can think about us as an open core alternative to Wiz. So all this to say that is really hard to do, and we've been working on it for over 10 months. I still clearly have some more work to do on it. You go to start this entire entrepreneurship journey, communication, storytelling, that is everything. Now let's get into why we applied. There's lots of personal reasons for becoming an entrepreneur. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the practical reasons were we were building Cartography, and then we saw that lots of people had loved it, and then we thought, we want to see what could it be to turn this into our own thing. But there's a lot more to being an entrepreneur than that. For myself, I had always wanted to see this through. I had always wanted to see what it was like to make my own thing and venture out.
And for me, it was somewhat similar. I always wanted to make my own thing, try my hand at it. And then the other thing was, I saw the value that our software provided. Every single new job that I went to, I wanted to use cartography. Somebody would ask me something simple like, is our Kubernetes API server open to the internet? And 8 people would have a discussion. I'm like, why is this a discussion? Let's just get a map. And I just wanted to make a company around it.
This is when it all began. So last September, it started off with a text message. Me and Kunaal, we worked while we were at Lyft, we bootstrapped their vulnerability management program. That took it from 0 to 1, and building cartography as sort of the bedrock around that. And it all began, our YC apps are due in a little bit, let's do this together. Yeah, we called it the 1,000,000-to-1 shot, where we got together, put the application together. And the nuts and bolts of it, with YC, if you're not familiar, you fill out a form, you make a video, the video's got to be 1 minute long, and we took at least 23 takes for our video, just stumbling over our own words, all the ums and everything.
Well, can anybody guess what the hardest question on the form is? Just shout out any random guess. Why? These are good answers. These are good answers.
Tell me what else about it.
That's like that. They make you choose a name for your company, right then and there. You choose a name, and we spent hours, actually hours, days.
Yeah. And Subimage, it's a little bit of a Lyft inside joke talking about container images, so it ties back to our time there. And we got an interview. The very next day we got an interview, so we were just losing our minds over this. Yeah. The interview itself, this is a knees weak, arms are heavy moment because it is intense. And it's intense in the sense that you have exactly 10 minutes, not a second over. So come time for it, YC, the interview, the questions are not hard. We get up in there, they're very straightforward. The first question that Gustav asked us, so what are you building? I froze, I went non-verbal. And then Kunaal kept it together though, which is why getting the right co-founder in the room for the whole, emotional support and everything that's the entire journey. I would not do this solo. So first thing, if you're thinking about joining out this journey, find a good co-founder.
Yeah, likewise. We actually found out kind of later in the process that YC does not like solo founders. If you apply by yourself, your chances of getting in go down by 90%. They know that psychologically people it takes at least 2, if not 3, to have a good founding team. So.
we got this. So a little bit of background here. So we do the interview. We're like, okay, well, and then we look up online. We're looking at all the stories. Like if you hear by 7 p.m. that if you will hear by 7 p.m. We didn't hear by 7 p.m. 8 o'clock rolls around. We start feeling sad. Our email came at 12:01 in the morning. Kunaal loses his mind. And we're like, okay, what could it be? You know, do they want to have more questions? Do I got to prepare a demo? I didn't have the demo. Do I got to cook something up right now? And we got in. And so like the next step was basically had to quit. Actually, let me go into this. So the acceptance call. The acceptance call was quite interesting because Gustav gets on there. He has a couple of follow-ups, and then the first follow-up is, Kunaal, I know that you live in New York. Will you move to San Francisco?
I said sure.
And then the next, I guess the other fun tidbit here was, you're the first company that we have interviewed that did not use the word LLM in your pitch.
We'll get to that more in a second, but we are a little different. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Transition, you moved, you're upending your life. Filling business paperwork, really easy. If that's stopping you, don't let that stop you from making a company. Chapter 2, this is where we're at. You have a plan, and then we have an expectation of what YC is going to be. It did not hit that expectation. It was very different. So a little bit of YC 101, just to kind of lay the groundwork. They invest $500,000 in your company. There are 100 companies in a batch, one for every season, so 4 batches per year. And it culminates in a demo day after 12 weeks. So you get there, you build your company, try to get as much revenue as possible, to show real genuine interest that what you're building is something people want. And the goal of all of this is the demo day, all the investors in the valley come over, and then hopefully by the end of all this, you will raise your seed round, and then you can hire a team and then take your business to the moon, so to speak. We got in, and then we started YC. We immediately realized that we are different. This is a very, very different vibe. We're going to get into some of the details here. Live with your co-founder. That, literally the first item on the YC manual says you should live with your co-founder, and then you build your startup in your apartment. Nah, man, I have a 4-year-old son, so that's not going to work for the two of us. Here he is helping me build product. He calls it Super Spider. It's excellent. And then the other companies.
They're very different. The average company in YC is 4 19-year-olds building AI vacuums. You know, literally, it's can we build agents for your agents, dog walking agents?
To automate back office processes so you can sell them to private equity.
It's different.
And alright, so who here wants to be a founder in security? Okay, brave.
Half the room.
Okay, it's not easy, and it's even less easy. YC helps, but it's not easy. It's not straightforward. So, all right, in YC, there's a specific hard part about being a security startup, and that is YC batchmates. So the people in your cohort, all the other companies working with you, they're not your customers. Whereas if you were, say, a dev tools company, an AI coding agent or something like that, you can very readily find somebody else that's going to use you and be like, oh, I'll charge you $10 a month or something. Great, it's a YC discount.
It's actually almost like a joke in YC that if I pay you $10,000 and you pay me $10,000, we both have $10,000 monthly revenue. You couldn't do that.
Not fraud. Yeah.
It's good.
And also, early companies don't need security. You don't need security, you need product market fit. That's their number one. And so they're looking for, it's probably not until about maybe $1 billion valuation or maybe a Series D and after that they're even thinking about having any security tools, which is what we were building. And this is enterprise. So YC Batch, this is a 12-week cycle to go and get a big contract, whereas a real enterprise sales cycle, that takes 6 to 12 months for a lot of these deals.
This matters a lot when you're in YC because the investors, they'll nod and shake their head with pretty much to anything. Until it comes to revenue, they need to see pen on paper, which was the realization that we found out kind of the hard way.
All right, it's a grind. The day-to-day of starting a startup and getting in there, daily self-doubt, what it goes into, but it comes down to just 2 things. You're either talking to customers or you're writing code. Most technical founders, ourselves included, need to spend more time doing one. You need to spend time verifying that the thing that you're building is something that someone will actually pay for. Will let someone actually want your beautiful system? Why are you scaling if nobody even knows? Lots of, I can go on a tangent there for a really, really long time. So we took this into consideration. This is what my Git commit history looks like. So during the YC batch, I barely wrote any code. Only recently we started trying to like churn out more, get the product to a state that it needs to be. Kunaal did most of the code writing, but even then though, like we were just razor focused on finding a customer and hunting and learning new muscles that we did not have. Being resourceful.
Yeah, 500K is still like not a lot of money when you're building a security company. Those of you who have worked with like security startups know this. So much money goes into marketing, taking people to nice dinners, flying people. So we were still trying to be quite resourceful. And so you sign up for Delta Business Traveler, which is free. You get a free month of Industrious, which is a co-working space. And then our necks started to hurt, so we found some reams of paper, and this was month 1. Yeah.
Thanks, thank you, Caitlin, for taking care of us and putting up with us. Yeah, reams of paper. We couldn't afford. Anyway, we got a real office. Very, very happy. It was a huge step up to have our own space where like we couldn't hear other people's companies and their conversations. People talk about cross-pollination. Now we needed to lock in. All right, starting sales, especially if you're of a technical background, if you're focused more like kind of like me, where you're focused on the what and the how and not the why, or why someone would actually buy something, it's very uncomfortable. And coming from open source, we had built an open source project, and we were thinking about, okay, well, let's talk to open source users. And in some ways, starting out like this, I felt really, really bad. I felt like Jesse Pinkman. I felt like I'm here to sell you SaaS. You know, that's what it was. But we found our rhythm eventually, you know. Open source ended up being more than just providing people free code. It was a marketing angle because people had heard of us before. And it let us skip a couple of steps where we could get these in the room, get into the conversations with other companies that were either using cartography, heard of it, knew about the general family of problems that we were solving. Professional networks that absolutely helped out over there, and meeting people in person, and we got ourselves into this rhythm where it was build something, post about it, see who is engaging, see who is wanting to talk about it or ask us questions, and meet them in person, repeat that over and over again, and we're like, okay, this is good, this is what's working for us.
One thing I'll mention about meeting people in person, it's way, way more important than you could ever imagine. YC has this advice of like, if somebody wants to talk to you, just go fly to them, but like, make it chill. Oh, I happen to be in, Uruguay tomorrow for this thing. We want to get dinner. But at the same time, it also, like, those meetings, the point is not to sell to them. It's actually just to build trust. Like, most of these folks are being pitched to, like, we're an open core version of Wiz. They probably have 7 Wiz salespeople showing up in suits, buying them nice dinners with this massive, beautiful product and this demo. And the reason you meet people in person is just to build trust.
And that's what we did. We solved the traveling salesman problem. That's what we did. The picture on the right, that is Tallinn, Estonia.
We've been there twice in 4 months.
We told our contact over there, we're going to be in Europe. We would love to meet up. You know, that we're crossing the ocean already. We might as well come see you. And that was awesome. It's been awesome. Things that didn't work well with us. Okay, so YC has this sales conference, and they teach you 2 different schools of thought. And it feels a little contradictory, and it is contradictory. I didn't like it very much. So, number 1 is be like very tailor fit for all your customers. You know, you want to be really, really like flying to them, be very personalized, like which we did. And then on the other hand, like the talk right after this, here's how you can send 10,000 requests on email over and over again every single day. I'm like, that's not us. So I guess the lesson here is be authentic to yourself, find something that does work for you. Okay, remember things. Remember, okay, we flew to Europe, and then the flight, we had the big reason to fly to Europe, we had a meeting booked in London with a client, and we landed in Paris. It's 2 days from now. I look at my phone, there is no invite. I forgot to hit send. My heart dropped, I was scrambling. We got lucky, we got really lucky. Our contact over there was very flexible, able to squeeze us in, but my God, whatever system that you need to get in place, like get reminders and everything.
Yeah, it's different. I feel like when you're at a corporate job and you let something slip, typically you can say, oh, this will be done next week, or this will be done 2 weeks from now. All companies demand way, way more of vendors than of internal services and products. And we realize that. Like, you should try to respond to, with 9 to 5, you should respond to things in 10 minutes. We don't even communicate via email for most of like our technical contacts. Everything is a shared Slack channel. We treat them like part of our team, and we want them to treat us like part of their team.
Always be selling. Again, this harping on that point. Like this is mostly what I try to tell myself honestly. You're not an engineer anymore. Your job is to sell software. The breakthrough. Now, we had gotten our old rhythm going on. We're starting to figure things out. This is the story of landing our first customer, and it was not straightforward. So in the very beginning of the batch, actually, they told us, oh, we actually really like what you're doing. We believe in your product and your mission and everything that you're doing. We want to support you. We're going to buy you. However, getting through procurement is a bear in an enterprise organization. It takes long. You got to wait on approval after approval. And then so this is why the sales cycle is so long. Even when they want to purchase your software, you still gotta wait. And so I felt just like in Narcos. It was so sad.
Yeah, and for context, we had known this company through the open source. They agreed to buy us, like CISO agreed to buy us within a week. And procurement took 8 weeks. And we'll get to why that was an issue in just a second.
All right, now fundraising. This is probably top of mind for everybody who's wanting to start a startup. The whole, do I want to say game? Like the whole dance of courting investors and then raising your round. So you gotta work your way backwards. We had a plan. We need to raise X amount of dollars to hire this many employees so that we can survive for this many years. Thankfully, we had lots of inbound investor interest, and a lot of that is due to YC, and we're very grateful for that. And this was our Hell Week calendar. Leading up to demo day, this is 70 calls, back to back to back to back. And if you look at some of them, like I skipped lunch, and it was a lot of Celsius, it was awful. But, getting into this Monday and Tuesday were demoralizing because our contract, this big enterprise deal, had not been signed yet. We had just been telling our investors, oh yeah, it is in contracting, it's almost there. And then, what does that mean? That's nothing, that means nothing to me. So, once the sale went through,
Which was on Tuesday at 12:30 a.m.
like everything changed. Absolutely everything changed. So we raised and closed our $4.2 million seed round right before demo day. And it was led by Funders Club, Y Combinator, and Transpose Platform. And we were very, very honored to have them as our supporters. And this was, my gosh, like, one final note on like the fundraising process. I think on a Wednesday or Thursday, I decided to take my calls from home. My wife was in the other room, and then like it was just so funny taking them over and over and over again. And she stopped at lunch. She's like, "Okay, I gotta get out of the house. At this point, I think I can give your pitch better than you can." Back to work. I love YC's advice where it's just like, okay, fundraising, don't do a big song and dance, don't over-engineer your fundraise. Over-engineer things for your customers, not for your investors. We have so much more to do. Customers are now pushing us, and it feels really, really good. We're getting into a rhythm. For the first 10 months, it was just the two of us, figuring everything out, building and selling. It's hard. And now we've grown our team, we've doubled our team in the past week, making a good momentum, hopefully gonna building more things out, do every single thing that we've wanted to do there. Some reflections that we'd like to share, and then, okay, biggest surprise.
Yeah. For me, one of the biggest surprises is that YC actually encourages you to raise lots of money to go be competitive, but they also make sure that they don't take too much of your company. Like YC encourages most founders to take like 15% or less dilution, because the whole value wants all founders to own lots of their company so that they're actually incentivized to go growing. That was very different than what we heard in Europe, and even in Seattle. Seattle, the number can be much, much higher, so that was surprising to me.
I'll cheat, I'll do two surprises. So surprise one, it's how emotional this is. There are ups, there are downs, the lows are really low, the highs are really high. And the second surprise, is the founder network, support from other founders, they get it. And then being able to meet other founders in that way and talk to them, be very real with them, that's one of the highlights of this entire journey. sorry, a third one I'll squeeze in is that running an open source project feels a lot like running a startup because you're talking to other people, you're doing outreach, you're learning what they need. You need to be proactive on that. A lot of the same muscles are there, and then that was a really, really pleasant surprise. So if you can do open source, then that will give you a lot of the skills and a lot of the motion. It'll feel really natural. Biggest downside? I mean, an obvious one, money. You know, like you know, you're starting out, you only got $500K to start from YC. A lot of the time, like if you're bootstrapping, even less, having savings, but like not having a steady or stable compensation, especially if you have a family, that is big, big downside.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I think the other thing is most folks who are, you know, who want to start companies and go do these ambitious things, oftentimes there's a lot of need for you at prestigious companies too. So you lose some prestige. You know, you no longer work at Meta or you kind of, you know, you tell people you're building a startup and they go, okay. Like, it's different. Yeah.
Well, they're supportive, yeah, but
Yeah.
the biggest plus, in my mind, the biggest plus, you get to do anything you want. You know, it cuts both ways, but you know, if you're the right kind of person for that, and then for myself, I don't know, it's a huge, huge plus. I have this very strong view of like what I want to be spending my day on and the projects I want to be doing. Being able to decide that is so huge.
For me, I think the biggest plus is the amount of learning. You get to learn how to talk to executives and CISOs, and then also debug the gnarliest problems that like customers, like the engineers just throw at you over the fence. So the learning is like, the pace of learning is unmatched.
Yeah, even like engineering things, building the right system right now, throwing it away, building it again. Biggest lesson.
There have been too many lessons to count. Too many lessons. But yeah, I think for me it's building the right thing at the right time. In big companies, there's like it kind of reminds me of like when you're driving on the highway, you're going 7 miles an hour and then you take the exit, and now you're driving 30 and it feels slow, but you're still driving 30 miles an hour. There's like this velocitation where if you're in big tech, you want to build something to last like 3-5 years. And now we typically need things that last like a month, and then we can hire somebody and just scrap it and rebuild it because we are optimizing for speed and showing that we have the capabilities, and then typically going and reinforcing that.
For me, I think, I mentioned this briefly earlier, but it's about focusing on not just the how and the what, but also the why. Because a business leader or anybody buying a product, they're not buying the what or the how or a solution, they're buying an outcome. Like if they're paying for you to eliminate something out of their day. So like they're paying you for time. Can you what is your value proposition and honing in on that much early on. I think that if I had to go back and do this again, I would have like a very much more clearer mindset about getting to that sooner. I think that's all we have. I believe we have a couple more minutes for questions. We got like 2 minutes. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions?
Do you think Y Combinator is more for B2C and not enterprise?
No, absolutely not.
It's actually almost entirely enterprise. They have like a problem. They actually have very few customers. They're really big on AI right now, and enterprise AI particularly.
But the sales cycles are so long and everything is so different in enterprise.
Yes.
In enterprise sales. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think a lot of the WISE companies are also selling to other startups or selling to smaller companies. And they could do that because a lot of smaller companies want to use AI to like supercharge themselves. For us, we couldn't target them at all. If there was a startup telling us, hey, we need your security, we were almost skeptical. Like, why? Yeah, you can survive. Like,
Yeah, disqualified non-buyers, yeah.
So I know you guys both came from Lyft. Do you guys think it plays a big role or it's very important to kind of go to a big tech company before you venture into your own startup so you can see some of like the problems and get your ideas from that? Or do you think that you kind of translate it across other industries or smaller corporations?
The question is about, is there an advantage in starting at a big company and going to a startup? For us there was, especially if you are trying to sell to an enterprise. One question during our interview was, could you go and take it to go and sell to other similar sized companies? And then our answer was absolutely yes.
What was behind the subimage?
The motive?
Yeah.
The motive was that there is a big opportunity right now. I think that there's an opportunity right now for an open core CNAP. And in particular, I think there's a couple of angles here where if you use a big closed down platform, you can't introspect into the problems into your environment. And then also the current state of the market is such that in order for a customer to get visibility into their environment, they can't get support of every single provider because there's a pay-to-play mechanism. All those other vendors who want to go and get coverage of them, well, they have to pay to get covered on this dashboard. We did not like that, and so this is the angle we were going for.
Yeah, and a slightly more meta level. Also, we have a lot of CISOs. Before we even applied to YC, we talked to like 20 CISOs of large companies. Half of them were using Wiz, and they all picked up our call. And they all wanted to chat with us, and they all had more problems to throw at us. So we figured even if we are not building an exact replica, like not building an exact open source Wiz, like there's just so much space to play here. Yeah.
I think that we're getting yanked off, but come
Yes. No, thank you.
find us in the hallway.